Today's video is going to address a new trend that I am seeing in the disclosure process. For decades, we have heard rumors of a deliberate disclosure operation hinting at truths too unsettling to be fully unveiled. Now, as the veil begins to lift, we stand on the precipice of revelations that promise to expose the most heinous and meticulously organized atrocities ever known to humanity. Are you ready? This is not just a story of secrets. It's a reckoning and a call for the courage to confront the unthinkable. Everybody wants future technology, and honestly, so do I. But I understand that there is still much to be done in the process of awakening, and we are moving swiftly through these various areas of disclosure. We've talked many times about how there are numerous levels of disclosure, and watching social media is the perfect way to gauge where we are in the process as we progress to full disclosure. From what we've watched, it appears that immigration was the first disclosure target, exposing that nearly 20 million illegal immigrants are in our country. ICE enforcement dominated the news cycles, focusing on dangerous, violent illegals and a program to pay illegals and give them a ticket to deport voluntarily. According to all sources, the immigration issue is under control and ongoing, but there's so much more, so they must keep the disclosure headlines moving, right? We touched on Epstein during the first administration, and with the help of the Diddy disclosure, we are well on our way to understanding that there are some pretty sick rich people out there that go way beyond your average decadent behavior. We have been fed the narrative that they are involved big time in trafficking young women to the elite of the world. I say fed because this has been going on a very long time across the world, and the illegal behavior remained an open secret in elite circles, and now the government is finally beginning to expose it. But that is just the tip of the iceberg, my friends, and this depravity must be revealed very slowly. It's like doling it out in little bites so that people have time to adapt before the really bad stuff that these horrible beings have been doing. So the organized child trafficking operations began to come out with Epstein Island, Prince Andrew, Sean Diddy, and most recently Fat Joe and other rappers, but that was round 1 or 2. There's lots more to come out in this area of disclosure, as this is one of the darkest and hardest to believe areas. After the Epstein breadcrumbs were dropped, then we moved on to Doge, exposing the NGO game and the thieving politicians, and why so many of them are multimillionaires on a government salary. It's not a long stretch of the imagination to figure these things out, but many need help breaking through the media matrix. The lesson is that just because you saw it on TV doesn't make it the truth. Then the food supply disclosure came, and how they have systematically been poisoning us with our food by knowingly evaluating safety standards based on one-time dose use instead of cumulative and repeated exposure to a plethora of toxins in our food, water, and air. They even removed any sort of mandatory notifications if a food manufacturer wants to put a new and unknown or known toxin in our food. Of course, throughout this period, disclosure regarding the COVID vaccine pandemic is probably about 70% complete, but it still has to filter down to the healthcare providers who took compensation by pushing the vaccine on patients rather than honoring their Hippocratic oath to do no harm. I don't care what they say. Any doctor or pharmacist should have known the dangers, and if they didn't, then they need to go back to school, in my opinion. Also underway, but still waiting in the wings, is the election disclosure. We know that the administration has everything. We were told back in 2020 that all ballots had blockchain custody identifiers. So we know who voted those mail-in votes, or at least can follow the movement of them. There's videos of mass drops of votes, videos of poll workers counting the same votes multiple times. For some reason, this scene in the movie hasn't come out yet, probably because it's never happened before. and there are going to be some unprecedented measures to correct it, but the disclosure about the election is in the wings, and they definitely have everything they need. So today's video is about the newest threads that are being woven into the Epstein storyline, and that is the part that satanic, or more precisely, Luciferian beliefs play. It's coming out all over. I have identified several previously credible podcasts that have been bought, and I'm seeing misinformation everywhere. So I want to present some thoughts for truth seekers to ponder. The goal is to divert your attention and pull you away from the ongoing operation to unseat the evil ones. Other than a few key figure names, we haven't seen anything yet in the area of human trafficking. It is more pervasive, and these victims are reportedly used for more atrocities than decent people can ever imagine. I'm going to give you what you need to know without submerging yourself in the darkness. If you choose to further investigate, that's your choice, but I pray that you won't let it harm you emotionally, and that you continue on your path of physical, emotional, and mental healing. A lot of Jeffrey Epstein's victims, including models, Playboy playmates, and aspiring actresses, are coming out of the woodwork right now. This isn't the days of Kathy O'Brien, an amazing survivor who was a victim before many of these younger women were even born. Kathy has seen a lot both behind the scenes and how the crime of human trafficking has been handled by various administrations. We don't have the A-list actresses and entertainers exposing their experiences yet, but remember that the A-listers most likely participated to achieve their fame and money. But I am seeing a lot of Epstein victims coming out on podcasts, and it's clear by listening to these victims that they are deeply traumatized, and despite their brave testimonies, it's very clear that they are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Many want justice so badly that they can't see the forest through the trees, and they are jumping onto the anti-Orange Man bandwagon because he hasn't released the Epstein files. They need prosecution so badly that they continue to fall into the same deep state mind control that they did as a victim. It makes me sad because they carry so much influence as genuine victims, and people open their hearts and minds to everything they say without question because they were allegedly on the inside. However, you must remember that like any well-executed crime, extensive compartmentalization is used, and as far as actually seeing or having evidence of events, they are allowing themselves to be pulled by their emotions and deep desire for justice. Let me say that I don't know if Trump has skeletons related to Epstein. I know he lived a few blocks away in an area where everyone knows each other and everyone attends the same events and fundraisers. He was young, he was wealthy, and he was influential. I can say with great certainty that someone in his position has always been a target of the deep state. Is there evidence of compromise? I don't know. If there is, was it voluntary or was he drugged? I don't know. Let me share a very common tactic that was revealed in the Diddy case to recruit elite people into the flock of pervs. A target person would go to a party and there would be two attractive women that were assigned to socialize with, let's say, him. One way it works is that the target is drugged. Two minors are swapped for the two women and forced to be photographed engaging in compromising acts. The target wakes up the next day and is told that the video will be released and they will lose their wife, children, and everything they have worked for. That's the way the game is played, guys. So is there something on Trump, and was it consensual? I don't know, but I do know that in the last week there's been a wallpapering of fake photos and even videos of Trump with Epstein and young girls. When we aren't asleep, it becomes easy to identify the fakes. I did a short on some that will be linked at the end, so I don't know if these female victims have seen anything because they sure haven't produced evidence or if they are parroting a narrative that explains to them in their mind why there hasn't been prosecutions yet. These women have been dealing with their trauma, and I'm sure that they have seen many, many of our leaders on both sides at various events of decadence. I don't believe for 1 second that Donald Trump was a choir boy. He was a very wealthy and relatively attractive young man, and I'm sure that many women threw themselves at him, so I don't purport to know exactly where his line was, but I know this. The position that Trump is in as commander-in-chief was one that he was chosen to do, not only by the people, but by an organized plan to take back our country, which I will refer to as number 17. If you don't know what that is, leave a comment and many will be happy to tell you. So these people that were involved in this choice are the ones that orchestrated this. They have the highest level of government clearance known as Q-level clearance, and if Donald Trump had something in his background that would hinder the operation, he wouldn't be sitting where he is. Nothing is more important than destroying the matrix and those that created it. Neither Trump nor his ego are more important, and he knows that. It is beyond political parties and been meticulously planned for decades. If anything comes out that incriminates Trump, you can bet that it's already been addressed. And to be honest, from how I've seen this play out so far, it wouldn't surprise me if Trump's association with Epstein was quite limited, but they are turning it around as bait for the dark ones. Rest assured that every move has been played out over and over again, and all options have been considered via simulator softwares that have already analyzed every move in this chess match. If Trump doesn't come out smelling like a rose, then he was deliberately stepping down for a replacement to complete the job. There are no coincidences. We've heard this over and over again, and I believe it to be a fact. Many have gone hardcore into religion in an effort to protect themselves from the demons, but they don't realize that they are falling from one control mechanism to another. This is not awakened, which is often a very slow process. Unfortunately, some of these victims have seen the problem from primarily one perspective, and that's the darkest of the dark. They have seen the ritual abuse, and they understand that the problem goes far beyond perversion. They all seem to be coming out of the woodwork now and will be appearing on more and more podcasts as it propagates through the industrial information complex. I'm going to address the religious aspect of this penetration into our minds in the second part of this video, but I link them together because I wanted you to recognize the synchronicity of the psyops. First there was, "It's on my desk and we'll release everything we can." Then the orchestrated campaign to release the files, which morphed into Trump is hiding the evidence, seeding thoughts that he was in the evidence. Then I begin seeing a bunch of new starlets that feel safe enough to talk about what they couldn't say for 20 years. But they think that Trump is hiding his own guilt, even though they have no real evidence other than something somebody said. They are even associating his use of the term the Golden Age as some satanic narrative, but that's for part 2. The most recent scene in the Epstein Act is a bunch of AI photos and videos of Trump with young girls that bombarded social media and have now become fodder for the CNNs of the world. Anyone who knows anything about AI can see the visual artifacts in the images proving they are fake. Just before I uploaded this, I learned that we have 2 more actors in the Epstein scene. Hunter Biden has crawled out from under a rock to state that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Donald and Melania Trump. The First Lady didn't miss a step, and her lawyers hit Hunter with a notice of intent to sue for $1 billion. That's a lot of cocaine. That's the takeaway here, guys. As we've seen, the way certain stories unfold in perfect harmony across the media landscape feels less like chance and more like a carefully timed performance on a global stage. These synchronicities raise questions about how narratives are shaped and why they align so fortuitously. What do you think? Is this just coincidence or is there a bigger script at play? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe to keep exploring the patterns that are shaping our world.